Hey guys, James from CodeWP, and this is the first Let's Build video of many Let's Build videos to come. And this is a series where I use CodeWP to create a relatively complex functionality that could be a plugin or a snippet for WordPress, and I show you in real time my thought process and how I go about creating a complex functionality. Because this is the first Let's Build video, it also coincides with the launch of the new CodeWP version 2.0. So I'll give you a quick overview of some of the new features that have come to this platform. If you're new to CodeWP, we've actually been running CodeWP since November 2022. That's almost a year now. And in that year, this version 1 of our platform has been operating, gathering feedback, data, customer requests, things like that. We took all of this feedback and we built CodeWP version 2.0 from the ground up. This leverages proprietary UI with a WordPress specific user interface and comes with features like code and chat. We'll soon be launching security and troubleshooting and a whole bunch of other features that just leverage AI to make your process when it comes to building a WordPress site much better and more efficient. So with all that said, I want to jump into this first Let's Build, and as you can tell by the title of the video, it's going to be building out a relatively complex form plugin. And I'm going to show you my thought process behind prompting and iterating, installing, testing. And this is a live video, so if there are any errors or mistakes, I'll show you how I address them in the video. So you'll see that I'm on CodeWP. I'm on the agency plan, but this Let's Build can use the free plan, which is available to everybody. You can sign up CodeWP.ai/register. And the reason I say that is because I'm building a form plugin for WordPress in this initial video. It's a great way to show you the support for multiple files, multiple languages. A form plugin needs that PHP to render the form. You need the CSS to style it. You need PHP to handle the submission. You need JavaScript to handle the front end submission. So with all of that said, we can get pretty complex here and I can really show you the power of the platform. But it all uses WordPress code. It's all native WordPress. It's not going to use anything like Bricks Builder or Breakdance where they have their own built-in forms and we can use CodeWP to extend them. We're not going to make a Gutenberg block in this video. We're not going to use ACF, anything like that. Just WordPress core. And you'll see that it's free. It's available to everybody. So even though I'm on that agency plan, we can go ahead and use WordPress on any plan. So I'm going to walk you through, as we walk through the platform, the new features that come with it. So you'll notice that there's now chat. If you were on the old platform, there was only coding, and the coding experience is a lot different. When we go and create a new thing, we can create a new snippet or a file, or we can create a new chat, and we can also select the mode that we're going to work with. So in this example, we have a whole bunch of modes and there are even more on the way. But in this example, I'm just going to make sure WordPress is selected and create a new snippet. This is going to kick me into the editing interface, and you'll see already that this is a lot different than CodeWP v1, where it was really kind of just a prompt to code interface. And I'm going to move my face over here so we can actually see what's going on. So compared to CodeWP v1, now there are files. Now there's a more conversational, almost chatbot-like experience. You can see a whole bunch of features up here: project packages, current snippet information, the modes, and presets if you have presets associated with the mode, and the actual interface with our AI. The AI itself, also compared to V1, is completely redesigned from the ground up. It's proprietary, humongous data set, bunch of fine-tuned models, and you get routed essentially to where you need to go when these models get initialized. I'm going to set a couple of settings here when I go and create my code. So because I'm pro or agency, I have access to all of these modes. I'm going to choose plugin mode. I'm going to turn off auto classification. So auto classification off, plugin mode is on, and I'm going to keep these comments off, and I'm going to keep OOP mode off. I'm going to use functional PHP and functional coding, which is kind of the default that the platform goes towards, but you can output object-oriented programming code as well. I'm just going to choose not to. Okay, so my form, let's think about what we want. I want to show you the power of this tool. So when it comes to creating a WordPress form, I'm going to make a form. I'm going to have the front end get submitted by JavaScript. I also want, and by JavaScript, I mean Ajax. I also want the JavaScript to real-time validate the entries of this form. And on the back end, I think I want it to send a Slack message to a specific channel. Also, actually, let's not send the message anywhere. Let's just store the actual submission. So I want the submissions to get stored on the back end, and then I want an admin page to view these submissions. For performance, I also want a custom database table. So I don't want to use custom post types or anything like that. I want it to be its own database table. And I'll also make the form a little bit different than just your standard contact form, maybe like an auto detailing form. So the user has to enter information about their car to schedule an auto detailing time. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to jump in and just start thinking about how best to code this. And you'll see that the interface is conversational. So I can go and actually speak to the AI, and I don't need to like get everything right at once in this initial prompt. But what I am going to do is try to include as much information as possible in the initial prompt just to get that boilerplate code out and ready. And then from that code, I can go and add additional things if I need to. So I'm going to say a form for an auto shortcode. So I'm going to specify I want a shortcode to add to the pages, a shortcode to add the form to the pages, and I'm not going to specify the fields I want. I'm going to let the AI figure that one out. So we want a form and we want a shortcode. The form should have basic styling. Form should have an AJAX submission and front-end validation, and actually front-end and back-end validation. So it's going to get submitted. So when I click the button, it's not going to reload the page. That's essentially what AJAX does. It should have an AJAX submission, front-end and back-end validation. What else am I missing? Oh, I want the submissions should go to a custom database, and I want to view these submissions on the, and we got to get our spelling right. And we actually don't. The AI is pretty robust, but I like getting the spelling right. I want to view these submissions on the admin page. Admin dashboard under a page called auto bookings. And by adding that name, it may also inspire the AI to include maybe a date field or something like that when it may not necessarily have done so. So I'm going to just send it in and we'll see what happens. You'll see that the code generation is in progress and I have this submission. So it's just going in and it's creating my new plugin. It's adding plugin headers, and you can see it's kind of parroting what I've already said. And then it's just taking everything here and working through it. So the first thing it's going to do is create that custom database table. And you'll see that it goes into the database and it says, all right, we're going to make a new table called auto bookings. And here's all of the information that can be associated with it. Then it's going to actually make the form. And this is the form HTML markup. And it also adds it with this shortcode. So I can use the shortcode auto detailer form to go and add it to my page. From there, it goes on to create the admin menu page. And then it's going to take the bookings, which are submitted into this new database table. It'll take these bookings and then it will show them in that page in a table. And I believe it's not using any normal styles. Like there should be CSS styles in here for the admin page to add admin styles for that table. So I don't think that's going to happen. But what I can do is, because it's conversational, I can just go and say, hey, get this to be working with the standard WordPress styles. You can also see the AJAX submission is here, and down there, I think there's a couple other things. You'll also notice that because I need that AJAX functionality, CodeWP automatically goes and says, okay, we see that you need JavaScript. So let's go and create that JavaScript. And it goes and creates the JavaScript completely based on that previous submission. And it kind of handles everything I've asked for. So the front end validation, the data submission, and here's a specific regex thing to test for email validity. It also tells me exactly what it's creating. So for the PHP, it said, here's the shortcode. Here's exactly what everything does here. Also for the JavaScript, this adds in your Ajax and works well. I'm going to jump back into the index.php file and check things out around here. You'll see that it adds the scripts here, but something I did ask for is CSS. So I'm going to say, I need the form to be styled with CSS. And again, you'll notice that this is relatively conversational, and it's pretty a big upgrade, I'd say, compared to CodeWP version 1.0, where now I can kind of just work through this iteration and iterative process of modifying pretty much anything I need to get modified here. So you'll see I ask for the form to be styled with CSS, and it's going to go in and hopefully in this function right here, add in my CSS. And it's taken a bit of time, so hopefully it actually works. And you'll see that it's deleting things and adding things back. So we'll see how that actually works out once it's done generating. But hopefully it should be rewriting. Yeah, you can see it's rewriting the inclusion of the JavaScript. Now it's also including the CSS, and it's localizing that JavaScript script. So it's been updated for CSS classes and styling. And it also identifies, oh, we actually need to create the CSS. So let's go and do that. And we all know how it actually works. So I'm gonna, oh, and it looks like it actually failed, but we all know how it actually works, and it goes and streams the code into the editor. So we'll just let this happen, but we can jump back into the index.php file and figure out how we can also improve it and see if it needs to be improved or if it's just time to install it. But first, let's watch the CSS come in, and you'll see it shows like the most basic colors and everything for the form just because I asked for generic things. I'm going to jump back into the index.php and just check that everything works well. I think that the display of the bookings on the admin page, I don't think that WordPress styles normal tables. So I'm going to say style the table, the bookings table, by adding CSS classes for WordPress code, the core. So I'm gonna hopefully have this, and you'll notice that because I turned off the automatic classification, it's just asking me what function it should do. Do you want me to generate code? Do you want me to edit or explain code? In my situation, I've turned it off just to show you how this could work. But in your situation, the automatic classification actually works really well, and there's no friction. So when you have automatic classification, it automatically chooses what function you should be using and goes and actually just does it. So it's a lot more conversational. I just wanted to turn that off to show you how it actually works without the AI. But you can see under the hood, the AI is a lot more than just, oh, now I make code. It's figuring out what your request is. It's routing you to the proper models and proper functionality, and it's just working pretty well. And I don't believe that the edit streamed in. Let me check. I'll just reload the page real quick and see. Oh, okay. So I see what it did. It added these classes to the table, and maybe that's all you need. Maybe you don't have to actually style the rows and stuff. So we'll see. I think this is pretty much all we need. I'm gonna just ask one question. Is this all I need to have a working form? And again, like if I had the automatic classification on, I wouldn't need to select this. It would just automatically go like, oh, I need to explain the code. In this situation, I just have the automatic classification off. But essentially what it's going to do is it's going to read through all of my files, and you can see kind of it's thinking up here, and this syntax highlighting turns off when AI is interacting with a file. So it's just reading this file, and then it's also going to understand the context of the JavaScript and the CSS within. And it's going to say, hopefully, it's going to say, yeah, it is. And I don't know if it jumped in, didn't stream in, but it wrote it in. Yes, this code gives me everything I need. PHP code, PHP code. So it walks through all of the functions. And then it also says, here's the JavaScript, how it works. Here's the CSS code, how it works. And after installing and activating the plugin, you can use the shortcode this. So I think we're at the point of the video where everything's done, and you can kind of see me just think through, here's how I make a form, here's what I need to add, here's how I need to edit it. We have 3 different files for this form. And with that said, I'm going to go and export it and test it out. So how I do that is, this is an AI created package, and you can see that it is a package because it's under this folder icon. And what the folder icon signifies is that this is a collection of related snippets or files. In this case, because it's in the function or the structure of a plugin, I can just easily export this package and install it into WordPress as a plugin. If I wanted to create a theme, I could do the same thing. Or if I just wanted to put a collection of files together into a package for organization's purposes, I can do the same thing. So I can export the package here by clicking onto these dots, and this will show me all of the packages open in the file editor. In this situation, we only have one package open, and it's the unnamed package. It's a snippet group, and it's these 3 things. And I can actually download the package as a zip, which is ready for WordPress from here. But I'm going to jump into the package itself and just give it a new name. I'm going to say auto and there are functions actually for the AI to automatically name the project if you have it associated with a project. In this case, I just automatically or manually went and edited the name here, so when it shows in my packages page, I know exactly what it is. Especially very helpful when I have a million different packages. So with all that said, we can see the files within. I'm going to just download it as a zip right there. And now I'm going to go test it out. And in the best case scenario, I can just go in and create a new testing site. I'll use WordPress.io. Something to note is that CodeWP will be launching internal testing tools, so you can actually create the package or the file. You can click a button and it will automatically just pop up WordPress in your browser, automatically install it, and you can test it that way. So kind of cutting out the manual work of this. But in this situation, we don't have that feature added just yet for everybody, and it's easy enough to use InstaWP. And it also comes with its own benefits. It's not WordPress Playground, so it's not too crazy. All right, we can see I just installed my plugin. So essentially I download the plugin, I install it here, auto detailer booking form. It tells me here's what it is, CodeWP created it, here's the plugin site, and the plugin site is just CodeWP. Let's go check it out. So I'm going to jump back into the conversation that I was having. And this actually opens up in chat mode, but you'll see that the package itself is open in the editor, so I can jump back into the package if I want. But I'm going to go to the chat mode because now I'm just talking about what the code is here. And I actually already asked, which I showed you a few minutes ago, like, how does this code work? How can I install it? And it says I can install it with that shortcode. So that's all I wanted to get. I didn't want to just look at the thing again. Oh, and we can also see that our table here hopefully has all of the stuff that will eventually be added. So I'm just going to jump into our basic hello world post and create or add the shortcode. And I can add it with a Gutenberg block, or I can add it just as text in the paragraph block. Save it. And here's our form. Awesome. So there's one thing I see already that is missing, and that is the labels. And what I can do is, first I'll test it out, and I'm actually going to go back into the code and figure out like how it works. And that's kind of funny that it didn't add labels, and I guess I didn't ask for the labels, so it is what it is. So the order goes name, email, phone, message, and submit. So I'm going to just go name, James, email, James at, you can see all my emails. Or is it phone or phone? All right, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Demo. And I'm going to submit it. And again, remember, because it's Ajax, we should click the submit button. There shouldn't be a page reload, and it should automatically just send it to where it needs to go. And I'll open up the console to track this. Thank you for your submission. Did it work? I'll submit again. Thank you for your submission. I don't know if it worked. Let's check out the backend and see if it did. And it did. Awesome. So now our form submissions are coming through onto the WordPress backend. It's funny because it's because I'm searching for API, so I didn't see the request come through. And we can just see everything comes through perfectly. So there are a couple things that I want to do here to make the form a bit better. It's already done. It's working. It does what its purpose is. And really, if I wanted to, I could just go and add the HTML here and say like label. But because we have an AI, why should I code myself, right? So I'm going to go and say, I'd like labels to be on top of each input. All right, so I'm going to say, hey, I need labels to be on these inputs. And again, I have the classification off, so I'm going to select edit. And hopefully it'll go and say, all right, well, I need to add it right here. I'm going to chop it out, and I'm going to add labels back in. So we'll see how CodeWP actually handles it. But in the perfect world, it would just chop it out and put it back in. And the way edits work on the back end is it actually reads through all of your code and identifies various points in that code that should be essentially found and replaced. And I don't know if it worked or if it streamed in. I'm actually recording this on a pre-production version of CodeWP, so you can see it's not CodeWP.ai, so there are some issues here, but it should stream it in. It didn't stream it in, but it worked just as I wanted it to. It added the labels, and when it doesn't stream in, I just reload the page and it's there. It works on the back end essentially, and it doesn't stream on the front end. So I have these labels here. These are added. I need to add styles for the labels, so I'm going to jump into the CSS and say add styles for labels. Oh, it actually has labels here. So I'm not going to add the styles for the labels. It added styles already, even though the labels didn't exist. The one other thing I want to do is don't allow submissions. Don't allow multiple submissions for the same email address, which I think would be a back-end thing. So I don't want it to work where I'm on here and I can just mash submit, and as you see, I just hit submit a bunch of times and I just submitted it a bunch of times. So the way I want to do this is we can get pretty complicated. We can maybe collect an IP address or something like that, but I'm just going to use the email address and say, don't allow multiple submissions for the same email address within 6 hours. Don't allow and that should hopefully go into our Ajax form submission and say, it'll check, hopefully reference the database. It'll check for the email within the database and then either allow it or deny it. We'll see if that's actually how it goes about doing it. But also, as I mentioned, we can probably do it on the front end too. We can set a timeout on the front end using the JavaScript, or we can maybe even go into the, oh, I have to select edit, or maybe we even go into our code here and collect IP address and browser agents, user agents, and things like that, and fix it that way. So who knows how we actually would go about doing it, but in this situation, I'm assuming CodeWP will choose to edit that Ajax form function. JSON error submitted with a message, and you can see again, like the stream didn't work. That's just an issue that will be resolved while you're using CodeWP. But in this situation, we see that it was edited, and it's actually a much bigger function now. essentially what it does is it finds the email and then it matches the email with that database row, and then we check for the time of 6 hours ago. If it exists, then we say we can only submit this once every 6 hours. If it doesn't exist, then we allow the submission. I'll jump in here, and you'll see that this doesn't actually work very well for the new approach that we have, because it doesn't submit the error. It doesn't show the error. So I'm going to give CodeWP a little bit of help here, and this might be cheating if I'm just trying to code 100%. But what I'm going to say is we will do this. We'll use that function. If there is an error, we use this function in PHP. Please update the JS accordingly. And you can tell that I'm not the greatest speller, but I'll go and submit that, and hopefully it'll edit our jQuery document and say, okay, now we know that the user is going to definitely keep this structure, and it's going to work well, but I'm going to instead say maybe there's an issue. So if there's a responsive data, we'll just show the issue, or if there's a success, we'll say thank you for the submission. All right, so all of this is updated. Looks like everything's saved as well. Saved. So now I can just go into the package and everything's updated in this package. Download the package and you can see that it's just overwriting the previous submission. I'm going to go into plugins, deactivate. I'm going to delete it because sometimes it uploads the same plugin as two plugins. Not great. And jump into here. Install it. And this should just have the fixes of the new labels and the ability that we're not going to just mash the submit button 100 times and get it to submit. We're using the same database tables. It's all the same code, so it's basically just the version 1.1 if you're actually working with the plugin. And you'll see now our labels are here, much easier. And I'm going to say James. I'm going to do James at isotropic again. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Submit my message. And I can submit it only once every 4 hours. But what if I'm James 1? It says undefined. Let's see if it actually worked. Let's jump into here. Well, my submission worked. The reason it's saying undefined is probably because our code is looking for response data, which would probably include the success. I don't really know. So actually we can probably just jump in and find out. If I go into network, I can look at everything here, click submit. Oh, it gave me the error. That's the data being sent. Here's the response. I can only submit it once every 4 hours. I'm going to update it to 2 and say submit. It says undefined, which is just the JavaScript on the front end probably causing an issue. And the reason here is because if we go into our index.php, when it responds, there's no response. It doesn't say anything. It just inserts it. So the response is no response, and that actually works. That works fine with or aligns fine with the response where there's no data because we're not doing any response. So I need to say we need to send a successful So we need to edit this code essentially and say, all right, when the response is successful, we're obviously sending things here, but now we're actually sending this error, this message right here. So that should work fine, I think. It might actually submit both or respond with both, and we can actually ask, will this error and success? We don't know. It might be better to go and add the send JSON success within the insert. I'm not really sure. With both. Yeah, we don't want that. So I just checked with CodeWP and it says essentially it's going to send both. If there wasn't a submission, it'll store. Maybe it won't. I'm going to just go and test it and see what happens. I'm going to download it again, follow the same process. I'm going to delete the plugin. Where are we? I'm going to go to the plugins, deactivate, delete, add new, upload. And again, I can't wait until this testing toolkit is released publicly. We've been working on it internally. It's really helpful. We just click a test button and up pops a WordPress window with all of this code in it as a plugin. So really cool. I'm going to just jump back in and say demo at demo.com 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1. I don't know if that's the right number of numbers. All right, perfect. Thank you for your submission. Works fine. I should not have doubted the AI. It looked a little weird. I don't know. I might have put it up in here, but who knows? All right, my form is working, and I think that's really the tail end of this Let's Build. So essentially, what I did is I created an entire WordPress form plugin from scratch, and obviously the video's 30 minutes. If I wasn't doing a video, I probably could have done this in maybe 5 to 10 minutes. It also helps that I know how code works, but when it comes to CodeWP, you don't really need to know how it works. You just need to know what to ask, and you need to know what you want. Then you can use CodeWP to generate the initial thing and explain things. You can say, hey, I don't really know how code works, but I don't understand why you're wrapping this in an object. What is this code for, and why are you doing it this way? Or maybe, can you please explain, and I'll actually do it right now. Can you explain how, explain how it works. And again, I don't really need to know how to code, but I need to know what to ask and what I want. And CodeWP will just tell me exactly what's going on. So the function here is used to display. Here's a breakdown of how it works. So obviously this is very helpful for people who don't code, but also people who do, because I can create really complex plugins, like in this example, creating a WordPress form plugin with front-end, back-end handling, CSS styles, basic plugin structure, and I can go and make it work really well. So that's the Let's Build video. I hope this was a helpful one. I hope it showed you my thought process on how I can go and create something from nothing using CodeWP's AI. I think it gave you a good overview of the new features of the platform as well. In addition to the chat mode, like we can just jump right in and talk even more right here. So pretty helpful, pretty fun. This tool is ever evolving, so this is the first Let's Build of many Let's Builds. I expect as we progress down the line, as CodeWP 2.0 gets out in the market a little bit more, there's going to be a lot of changes here. There's going to be a lot of improvements. Already I mentioned the testing suite. I mentioned the conversational troubleshooting. Something I didn't talk about is AI vision, which you can see in here. I didn't even cover the projects where you can generate really custom and specific code to a specific WordPress project. You can even connect CodeWP directly to your WordPress site, so it understands the active plugins, it understands your server environment, things like that. There's a lot here, and it's just a really awesome tool already, and it'll be even better in the future. So with all of that said, hope this was a helpful Let's Build. Happy to answer any questions in the comments of this video specific to the process of building something like this. If you have any help or support requests, feel free to contact us through the platform. And until the next Let's Build video, I'm signing off.